Hi guys, in today's video we're going to build a very simplistic armature for a little man or woman. A painting is an illusion, sculpture is a reality. So that's what we key into. So we're going to got pliers, we've got a little felt tip for just marking and measuring. We've got a little tape measure, and we've got a hammer for creasing the wires, which I use, which I'll show you in a minute, and some little snips. So let's get started. So guys, so the first step, I'm just going to measure up just roughly where I think I want this piece to be, and I'm keeping it sort of real basic. So I've got about 10 inches there, I've got 2 there, and another 10 there. So this is going to be the legs and the hips, so just nice and basic. I don't want to overwork it and complicated. So literally we're going to take down from that point where I've measured, and then I'm going to bend that again. Everybody always thinks hips are a lot wider than they need to be, and I always tend to have one bit just slightly longer. There's a reason for that, which I'll let you know as we go progressing forward, but basically it's to anchor the one so you've got movement in the other. So that's our legs. Now we're going to go into the body, which for this size you'd be normally looking around about 9 plus your loop. So I'm going to go to about 10.5 there, 10.5 there, so that keeps it nice and simple. So to there. Now to keep it nice and simple again, you just slightly bend that over a bit. So you just bend it over where you need it to be. So that looks really nice, just about there. And what I do then is I just start to crease that up a little bit. So that's gone nice. And then just drop my hips into there. So now I've created that little hook that's holding that. So this is the most simple. There is, obviously we do a lot more complicated armatures than this, but just for you to do at home and a bit of DIY, you get yourself a little bit of aluminium. And what you're doing here, sorry, I'm blocking there, I'm now just punching down that little loop. And give it a good punch down, make sure it creases right in. So it's nice and creased in. And you know you've done well, because when you pull it, it starts to hold. So that's now rigid. I'm saying that, but it's come loose. So it's nice there, it's the aluminium switching in. But you don't need to worry about that even too much, because by the time you've blocked your clay or your wax around it, it just makes it a bit more rigid. And because I've pulled that, I'm just going to give it a little knot. So that's that one done. So now we've done those legs. Now we're just going to slide this piece on. The reason we have this on is to make a lock when we come to carry the little figure. So I like to normally just put that around the chest area. You can, in fact, to take what we'll do, we'll change that. We'll put them just off the hips. The reason that, because I'm thinking this figure being a bit more dynamic as we do more with it on the reel. So these are little Allen bolts. Lock it up nice and tight, so that's ready, and we'll put a carrier through there which can hold him, Superman him, or whatever you want to do. So we'll leave that bit in there, so that's locked, because once we curl the top of the head we won't be able to do that. So now I'm literally going to loop the head. So the reason you loop this is so that it doesn't come through the little sculptured head, whether you're working in clay or wax. Give it a nice little tweak, and then so you've got that little image, and we can turn it. Actually, it ain't too bad there. So you just want a little bend, like nothing flash, just so it stops coming. The wax will bite through there and give it substance. Otherwise, if you leave it long, it will just push through the top of the sculpture. Right, then the second one I'm going to do, that was easy, just to pinch that. But a lot easier if you haven't got hammers and tools. The other thing you can do is literally just use some wire. So you can get some copper wire, fuse wire. This is a little bit of fuse wire. And literally, don't worry about holding it in place. Just reel it round. You're going to have to do more than I'm going to do here, but you get a general idea of it. Just keep looping it through, because once you've got the wax on again and the clay, whichever you're deciding, or even if you're using plasticine and it's a little superhero character, this would be what you'd be doing. So now I've put that bit of wire around, and also if you're struggling with it a little bit, Old Faithful, the duct tape, absolutely brilliant. So I always use a bit of that, doesn't do any harm, and it just stops you wrestling with it if you're not sure. I just wanted to show you that. A lot of other things I've done on these is something like a glue gun, something like that, just to give you that residual so it just stays where you want it to stay, if that makes sense. So what we've got now is a little wiry man, quite wobbly, bless him. So you want to keep that movement in the piece when you start blocking and animating it. So now we'll go to the next stage of mount it onto basically a riser so you can get lift on him and adjust him. So we'll move on to that bit now. So guys, the next stage, obviously you see the little carrier that's in the middle of the man that we welded up, and this is our main carrier. There's loads of different ways of doing these. This is one we've put together, very simplistic, easy to weld with a little MIG or a TIG, whichever you've got. We will find you other ways, but we'll show you other ways we can do without welding. But for now, this is what we're working with. So we've got a little cheap base here, and what we're going to do is screw this bottom plate down. We've put some holes into there, so we're going to screw this just to get a nice sturdy anchor on there. So, and I'll talk to you more about it. Let's get this done. Try and keep it at a pace so we're not waffling too much. Apparently I can waffle too much. There's one. There you go. So that's that nice and fixed. So what we're going to do now, this piece here, I've got my little Allen key, this moves up and down, so this allows you to adjust and animate the piece where you want it. They work really well. It's nothing new, it's just what I've been making and welding over the years, and I find them really good to work with. So now we've got that, this slides up and down, and obviously we've got this little fellow in here which will connect to this. So that'll allow us to move that, depending on the size of piece you put in there. Some of these, I've got to get another little piece in there. You can use the alloy, or you can use a threaded bar. Sometimes I use a stainless steel bar, and all you need to do is, if you're doing that, make sure your bar's straight. I'm using a bit of old aluminium here, which is I like using. Simple reason is it allows you to animate the piece really well. So we're just getting that set up in there. So that will slide through into there. So that's nice into there now. And you can lock that. I'll just temporarily put that into there. I feel like Blue Peter here, guys. And then slide that one into there. There we go. I'm just slid it down to where it's nice position. This leg, as I said earlier, is a little bit longer. So the nice thing about that, we could anchor that leg, and if I'm moving this character, you can start to animate it and give it life now. Even just something as simple as this. Once you start moving it, so you've got that leg kicking forward, this leg you can literally kick from the knee back and maybe turn it in just inside that stance, so you've got that nice walking stance. And then what I do is start moving him, bending back, shoulders back, swinging the arm. So he's a big guy, this guy. May even have this one in his pocket. I quite like that. So this one literally just swinging onto there, that one in the pocket. The one that's longer, you can literally put a little drill hole in the base, because a lot of people get frustrated when they're working on them that as they're putting the wax or the clay on, it's always moving. I understand that. So I always leave ½ inch to 1 inch at the bottom, depending what yours is, a bit of chipboard. So just drill into that, push that in, and that will anchor the whole thing steady. We can then lock this one up, lock that. I'll leave them loose because I want to get that swagger. So while I'm working on them, I like them loose. I don't like them too tight, because then you sort of, you wanted that nice stead forward, almost with his head back, that real sort of London Cockney. You've just got that sort of bit of attitude to him. So guys, with that and that little bit of, actually I like swigging over. So it's fun. Now is where you start to have fun. You can start to visualise what you're trying to achieve. This is the exciting part. So the next bit now is get some wax on it and start building forward. So guys, here we go. I decided to keep it quick, to put both hands in the pockets, and as you can see, nice and loose, nothing too fancy. I've not overworked it. It's a fun thing to do, quite a simple, how do you say, sculpture, in the sense of don't bog yourself down with the detail. And the nice thing about this now, you've got something you can start embellishing on, working on, and so many of you have asked of how we do our first armature, so we just wanted to show you that very quickly. There's a lot more to it, but that is basically what we've shown you, is to get a little figure like that started. And it's still very loose, but because now we've got the wax, it's locked all that skeleton up together, so it's nice and solid. So guys, I hope this video has been helpful, so just like and subscribe. Catch you later.